For most of us, there are certain muscles that seem to grow quickly from bare minimum efforts. There are others, however, that seem to lag behind no matter how hard we train them. In this video, I'm going to share 5 science-based tips you can use to blow up any muscle group fast. Before we jump into those strategies, however, let's first discuss who this specialization training is for. If you're a beginner or even intermediate lifter who hasn't intelligently and consistently trained for at least 2 to 3 years, then I recommend that you focus on building overall muscle mass. On the other hand, if you're an advanced lifter who's been in the gym for a while and can clearly see that his calves, delts, chest, or biceps have fallen behind, then here are 5 simple strategies you can implement to add size to any lagging muscle. Tip number 1, train to failure or close to it. According to this systematic review published in the Journal of Physiology, mechanical tension might be the only hypertrophy-inducing stimulus. And the closer you get to failure, the higher the levels of mechanical tension you produce in the muscles. This is because muscle fiber recruitment increases as we get closer to failure, so more fibers experience tension. And according to the force-velocity curve, the highest levels of intramuscular force occur when rep speeds slow down involuntarily. A more recent meta-analysis from the Journal of Health and Science looked at the effects of failure and non-failure training on strength and hypertrophy. They found that training to failure had a significant effect on muscle hypertrophy in individuals with prior lifting experience. So, while you might have been lifting heavy and going hard in the gym, taking your sets closer to failure, where you're grinding out the last few reps, might be the key to producing new growth in that lagging muscle group. Tip number 2, prioritize weak points. One study published in the Journal of Sports Medicine looked at the effects of exercise order in relation to training adaptations. They found that muscles trained at the beginning of a workout resulted in greater strength and muscle gains. You see, each set you do in a workout is slightly less stimulating than the previous. This is because as the workout goes on, central and peripheral fatigue are accumulated. You've probably noticed in your own training that the exercises you perform at the beginning of your workout are typically the ones that progress the fastest. So, if your shoulders are lagging behind, your goal should be to bring up your overhead press. And one of the fastest ways to do this is to place the overhead press at the beginning of your workout while you're at your freshest. And the same goes for any other lagging muscle group. Although it may seem like common sense, most individuals who complain about arm growth are still leaving their direct arm training for the end of their workout. You see, training a lagging muscle group first while you're still fresh and your nervous system isn't fatigued leads to better muscle fiber recruitment. And the more muscle fibers you recruit, the more of them experience a hypertrophy stimulus. Tip number 3, focus on mind-muscle connection. The mind-muscle connection refers to the conscious focus on contracting and engaging the target muscle during exercise. One study published in the European Journal of Sports Science compared an internal focus group that focused on squeezing the target muscle and an external focus group that focused on just lifting the weight up. They found that the internal focus group, or the group focusing on the mind-muscle connection, gained twice as much muscle in the biceps when compared to the group who simply lifted the weight. This landmark research tells us that the mind-muscle connection is real. By simply focusing on contracting a muscle, you place more tension on those fibers and, as a result, experience greater muscle gains. That said, there is one caveat. Focusing on the mind-muscle connection during heavy compound lifts could actually hinder your results. For example, if you're attempting to bench press 85% of your 1 rep max for 3 to 5 reps, focusing too much on feeling the muscle may result in less force, causing you to perform fewer reps. And because volume is the key driver of hypertrophy, this could be detrimental to your overall progress. Instead, save this technique for smaller isolation lifts where you're training with less weight for more reps. Tip number 4, switch up your exercises. One 2022 study published in the Frontiers in Physiology journal comparing machine shoulder presses and free weight barbell presses showed that the machine variations enabled the participants to lift heavier. They also found that the barbell variation had far greater stability requirements, making the machine press a bit safer on the joints. Greater stability requirements also mean that more muscles are involved in the lift, thus less attention is placed on the target muscle. Now, this isn't to say that you should ditch your free weight exercises and train with machines. The point I'm making is that while squats, deadlifts, barbell rows, and overhead presses are all great exercises, it doesn't mean you can't build just as much muscle with other variations. So, if you've been focusing on the squat for the last 6 to 12 months, yet your legs are still lagging behind, your training may have developed a staleness. And although you're gradually adding more weight to the squat over time, neuromuscular adaptations causing you to become more efficient at a given exercise may be slowing down the rate at which you build muscle. In this case, I recommend changing the overload variant or substituting the squat for something like a leg press for the next 2 or 3 months. This will rebuild adaptive proclivity, thus making the squat more effective once you reintroduce it into your training. And although the amount of weight you're able to squat may decrease, the adaptations made once you begin to overload with this movement will be greater. Tip number 5, increase your protein intake. As we age, we experience anabolic resistance. Anabolic resistance is the blunted stimulation of muscle protein synthesis rates to common anabolic stimuli in skeletal muscle tissue, such as dietary protein and exercise. The amount of protein you consume daily plays a vital role in supporting muscle growth. Due to anabolic resistance, however, your current protein intake may no longer suffice. Thus, it could be the reason why, despite training hard and following a well-balanced diet, you're unable to build muscle as fast as you did in the past. Research indicates that older adults require higher protein quantities to fully maximize muscle protein synthesis compared to younger individuals. That said, it's probably a good idea to increase your daily protein intake. Adding as little as 10 to 20 grams of protein to your daily intake should be enough to observe positive changes. So there you have it. 5 science-based tips to blow up any lagging muscle group. Remember, specialization training isn't for everyone, but if you're an advanced lifter whose goal is to bring up a specific body part, follow these 5 steps and you'll have no problem building muscle in that lagging area. Did you find this video helpful? If so, click the like button below as it'll truly help out the channel. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for more videos and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss the next one. Peace.